Greetings, Mason Storm here. On today's episode we're going to look at making some mustard in the form of like a spread. You can use this on your meat, your burgers, your dogs. I don't know what else you can use it on. I guess you could put it in salad. That might be interesting. Anyway, stay tuned. Let's see how it's done. For our ingredients, I have 1/8 teaspoon of standard paprika, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of vinegar. I'm using rice wine vinegar, 1/4 cup of beer, and 1/4 cup of mustard powder, fresh mustard powder. You want to use fresh stuff for this. So we're going to begin with our mixing bowl here, adding our mustard powder. Fresh stuff has more zing, why I specify that. And we're going to add in our dry ingredients. So we're going to add in our garlic powder as well as our paprika and salt. And once we get our dry ingredients in place inside of our vessel, we'll begin a preliminary mixing process. Doesn't have to be mixed for very long, just long enough to get everything kind of mixed around a little bit. Now that we have a bit of a dry mix going on here, we'll moisten it up with a little bit of beer. So now we're gonna mix it again, but now that we got our wet stuff in there, it's all gonna combine all nice and lovely. Now I should point out too that the reason why we have the vinegar and the salt in this recipe is it acts as a preservative so that this stuff will last a couple months, maybe even longer. I don't know exactly how long it lasts. Not making a whole lot. It's not really a big enough batch that it's something I have to worry about at 6 months from now, but it works really good having that extra little bit of vinegar in there just to make it last. And once we're done mixing it, we're going to let it sit for about 10 minutes, and that will let it kind of mellow out a little bit so it's not ridiculous. And then we're going to add in our vinegar, and that kind of slows the degradation process down. So if it was too strong before, now it kind of locks it in, so it probably is going to kind of mellow out to the same level. And it's going to take quite a bit more time for it to lose its zing, but it still will if you let it. If you leave this out on the counter for 12 hours, for instance, that'll really give it some time to kind of mellow out if it's a little bit too zingy for you. Now if that's too long of a period of time and you want to expedite the process, there's also another technique that we can use to weaken our mustard a little bit, and that's going to be to use a little bit of heat. I could really feel it in my nostrils when I try to sample this, so I decided to do that. So over here at the stove top, we're going to get our nice saucepan, and we're going to put this on nice and low, just hot enough that it kind of warms it up a little bit. And then we're going to add in our mustard to the bottom of our saucepan, and we're just going to let this cook away for about 45 minutes or so. Of course you want to try it periodically just to kind of see how it's going. Also you're going to want a fan going because this can stink up your whole kitchen like mustard, and that can be a little bit not ideal. And if it starts to really dry out, you just want to add a little bit of water to it. Otherwise you just let it kind of cook down and stir it occasionally, and it'll really mellow out and give it a nice full flavor. Although this step is totally optional, you can just let the stuff sit and it will mellow out on its own eventually. Or you can just leave it as it is and have nice strong mustard, because you know it's hard to buy mustard this strong. One thing about cooking it down like this is it really gives it time to kind of thicken up, which it was kind of a little bit runny before, but it's not really an issue because when you put it in the refrigerator for about 12 hours or so, it'll all thicken up on its own anyway, so it kind of solves itself. So you don't need to cook it down to make it thick. It will get thick on its own, but cooking it down definitely makes it thick and lets you have fast mustard. Like I can make all this up and I can eat it in the same day within a couple of hours of making it, as opposed to the other style where you mix it and then just kind of let it do its own thing, so you'd have to make your mustard the day before. So if you're impatient, this works great at expediting the mustard experience. Otherwise, we're done. And I'm just going to put some mustard on this hamburger here, give it a nice zip, clear the nostrils out when consuming the hamburger. But it's all really good. I was really impressed with how this mustard turned out. So if you make your own mustard, let me know in the comments below how you make yours if you do the same type of thing. Like and subscribe if you like this type of stuff. And until next time, stay awesome.